My responsibilities include collaborating with users to identify areas for process improvements and aligning their needs into the Salesforce ecosystem. And one of my key achievements is being able to implement the Salesforce Service Cloud features for a business, including functionalities such as the omni-channel routing, configuration, live chat, knowledge,
Okay, so
entitlement.
I'm going to stop you there if you are going overboard. I said, tell me about yourself. I didn't say, tell me about the projects you've worked on. So you started very well when you got to the point of your, when you say you are certified in sales class, whatever. I'm a multi-certified Salesforce professional, full stop. You need to be able to do more with less, because this is a typical question, right? You can't spend the whole day on this question. It's not when Bob says, when you know the answer to a question, nail it, not questions like this. This maximum 90 to 120 seconds, you are out. Or else I'm not even hearing you anymore. Tell me about yourself. Tell me about yourself. Where you are coming from, where you are at, what you are doing currently, your hobbies, your likes and dislikes. That's it. Full stop. So that you can have more to say and put stuff in your back pocket. Okay? All right. So Ifeanyiwa, it's a pleasure to meet you. And I know that you've met with some of our colleagues in the course of this interview process. Seeing that, my colleagues have progressed you to this stage, can you tell me, in your opinion, why do you think you're a good fit for this role?
I have over 8 years of dynamic experience as a certified Salesforce professional and a business analyst. I bring a wealth of experience that aligns seamlessly with the needs of Questrade Financials. My proven track record in driving transformative projects, coupled with a solid background in the Salesforce ecosystem, business process re-engineering, and agile methodology, position me as a valuable asset for this role.
So I am so sorry. I want to make sure I'm seeing the chat. So sorry, guys, if I don't see you, just please unmute and jump in. I may not see you when you raise up your hand. So I like the time frame you used to answer that question. It looked like we wanted you to say more, but you stopped. So it's like, oh, okay. Then I can ask additional question. That's the way you want to be. People should be imagining, what is she going to say next? Does anybody feel that way, that you preferred the last response, regardless of what she said? But I was enjoying it. And then she stopped. I'm like, oh, really? It's done? Unlike the first one, like, I was getting bored. Yeah, Nadine, please go ahead.
Yes, I liked the second answer, but you sound very nervous, very tense. You sound like you're reading a script. No, you have to breathe. You have to pause in between your sentences and not sound like even though you wrote it out, but don't sound like it. Understand?
Yeah. Nadine just literally spoke my mind. While that response was a good response, I was about to ask you that, are you reading it from somewhere? And that was why there was that sudden stop. It was like your
Correct.
script
Yeah, the script don't finish, right?
just stopped there. It wasn't natural. Yeah.
The thing is,
Yeah.
I didn't want
Yeah.
to just go and make it lengthy and all of that. So considering
And let me let you know, don't feel bad if you wrote it down or if you're reading it. I do
Correct.
it when I go to interviews too, but you have to
Absolutely.
master it, that they
Yeah.
will not know that you are reading it.
Mm.
You have
Right.
to master it, like, don't rush it.
Yeah.
Be natural about it. You're not even looking at the interviewers, you are looking at your script. They think you are looking at them, but you are reading that thing you are saying to them. I do it too. It's not like you're doing anything bad, but just try to master it so that we don't see it from your countenance. And I want to believe it's because we are the ones talking to you. You're supposed to be in the mood of, you're speaking to those interviewers right now. You're rolling your eyes, you're doing different gestures. And that was one of the things that I noticed on the presentation day, during the HR session. Your countenance was really down. You just had your
Yeah,
hand on your chin throughout. So I
yeah.
hope that it's just because it's wee, and you won't take that into a proper interview. Okay?
Appreciate that.
Thank
Becca, any quick thought?
one
Sorry, go ahead, Nadine. No, go
sorry,
ahead. Yeah.
one trick you can try is that writing it on sticky notes in point form, so you know the topics that you want to
Oh, that's a
touch,
good one.
and then sticking it on your screen or beside your screen that you can look at it even though you're looking at the screen. And you need to fix your face in the screen properly,
Yeah,
where that is maybe you need to put your laptop on a book or a couple of books on your desk, raise it up, have your the first top half of yourself
yeah,
well framed in the video.
correct. Absolutely. Yep. Thank you. All right. Okay, let's keep it going. So, if you were, I heard you say that you've done quite a, but you seem to be well read and you seem to be vast in terms of your project knowledge. I heard you said you've done the Scrum Master exam. You've worked in a project where you collaborated with Scrum Master. Is that a fair statement? Did I hear you well?
Yes, I worked on a project where I was a Scrum Master, to be precise. Yes.
Okay, so was that a one-off or is that your current role?
No, currently I work as a business analyst and Salesforce consultant for Manifest and Company. So I'm collaborating with development team, which include the solution architect, project manager, the testers.
So that I like what I'm hearing, Ifeanyiwa, because that sounds like the kind of project environment we have at our place at QTG. Now, so I want to understand, because in the context of this role, you most likely are going to be wearing multiple hats. Okay. We are looking for somebody that will be able to just jump into the role depending on what the day says. So there are times that you are going to work as a typical BA on a project. And if it's a Salesforce project, we expect you to bring the product expertise on board, right? And there are times that you may literally even have to walk in the shoes of a product owner, or just like you've said, you've actually worked as a Scrum Master. Now, in this role, your primary portfolio is going to be a business system analyst. Can you please tell me with examples in projects how you've been able to, I want you to differentiate the role of a BA and the role of a Scrum Master on a project.
All right, thank you for that question. On a project, the role of a business analyst is majorly interfacing with the stakeholders to gather requirements, conduct analysis, and act as a liaison between stakeholders and development team. And the business analyst is also in charge of ensuring that the business needs are captured in the requirements. As opposed to the Scrum Master, a Scrum Master is principally the coach, the Agile code, ensuring that the principles are followed through, that the Agile principles are followed throughout the project. Thank you.
Did you hear me say give examples? Did anybody else hear me say give examples?
Yes, in the project examples of the
because anybody on the street can say exactly what you just said. You don't want to be that person. Like we said, you can literally be reading from Google. Anybody can say what you just said. But if you are giving examples of a project, you need to be able to personalize that. Nobody should be able to say exactly what you are going to say. So every opportunity for you to tie things back to a project, you need to, even if somebody doesn't say it explicitly, you want to show that this is something that you have handled, something you have experienced. And at every point in time, you want to be able to say that, you know what, I've done this before. Or it's something I'm doing right now. You don't even want to say that it's something I know how to do. No. Nobody's going to start teaching you how to do anything at your job. No. So can you answer that question again with examples?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. The role of a business analyst in a project is basically to conduct analysis.
So let's fast forward all the definitions, and I want you to get to a place where you say, in a recent project?
Okay.
I was. Yeah, go on.
All right. Currently, I'm working as a business analyst for a major Salesforce implementation project where I'm in charge of gathering requirements, conducting analysis, and acting as a intermediary between the business and the development team. In the past, I'd worked as a Scrum Master for a project in the United Bank of Africa, which was a mobile banking application project. So basically, my duties were, coordinating the agile teams, ensuring that the agile principles are applied into our project management methodology.
Hmm.
Okay. Sorry, I can
Yeah.
just come in
Yeah,
there a
please
little
do.
bit. So maybe what you want to do is you want to like cite examples like what he said. So you want to make mention of the various events that happens in Scrum, in Agile methodologies, which is things like the retrospective, daily stand-up meeting, trying to know if there are any blockers and helping them
So,
unblock
you know what we're
things.
going to do? Becca, can you please answer that question and let Ifeanyiwa hear you? Thank you.
Okay. So working as a Scrum Master, I've been able to liaise with the team, ensuring that once the business requirement was done and the BA has actually written the user stories, the backlog is then prioritized by the PO because the PO is the owner of the backlog. And when it was done, we actually schedule and agree as a team, having our team working agreement to know if it's going to be a 2 weeks iteration or a 3 weeks iteration. For my team, we agreed it was going to be a 2 weeks iteration. And when that was done, we started doing our sprint planning. During sprint planning, we're able to prioritize to know which tickets we're going to be working first of all, and ensuring that at the end of every 2 weeks iteration, there was something that was shippable to the end users. So as a BA, I ensured that acceptance criteria was done, solution notes was actually ready, and having the developers in the meeting to be able to estimate every ticket before the start of every sprint. However, it was pretty interesting knowing fully well that I was liaising with the QAs, the developers, the PO as well. And at the same time, I doubled as a PO at some time. Okay, now I think I'm actually going off a tangent right there.
No,
Because I'll
keep
actually
going,
get on
keep
the
going,
spot.
keep going so that she can hear you. Keep going.
So at the end of the day, at the end of every 2 weeks iteration, we had a shippable, what's it called, user stories to the end users, whereby the developers actually come to the stand-up meetings and they tell me if they have any blockers. And as my role as a Scrum Master, I ensure that I liaise with the developers and the QA on blocking every user story that has been blocked every day. At the same time, at the end of every sprint, before I close up my sprint, I have what I call a sprint retrospective to be able to get ideas of how the sprint went well and what was done wrong, and obviously gather feedback from the sprint demos that was done to the end users. And this feedback actually peeled back into the backlog. So at the end of the day, sprint is what I call a rinse and repeat kind of process, whereby every 2 weeks you start off the same event you started from the beginning, which is sprint planning. From sprint planning, you go down to what you call your daily stand-ups. From daily stand-up, you have your sprint demos and retros, and you have what's it called? Your backlog refinements.
Thank you. So let's take a breather, Ifeanyiwa. Before you respond, you know what that has done?
Yeah.
Forget about all the big grammar she's saying. You know what that has done? She's giving us, she's making it, whether she has done that stuff or not, would you really think she hasn't?
No.
What is she doing? She's mentioning roles of people that she's working with. If I should ask you, how is your family? You can tell me fine. But if a good friend of yours will ask you, how is your family? What are you going to say? You're going to mention the name of your husband, the name of your kids, one after the other. That's what you need to do on a project. Nobody works in isolation, right? On a project, there are key stakeholders. Every key stakeholder has a role. You want to be mentioning those roles. She's mentioned PO, product owner. She's mentioned Scrum Master. She's mentioned BA. She's mentioned PM. She mentioned developer. She mentioned QA. She didn't mention solution architect. She didn't mention functional consultant. She didn't mention technical consultant. You can say whatever you want, but you need to sound very convincing that one, you did what you are saying, And then number two, that you are actually working with those people, because those are the same roles that are lined up on the JD. Is that making sense? Let me hear from you.
Okay, I should repeat that again.
No. Respond to what Becca said. What do you think?
Yeah, she has covered a lot, like you rightly said. So she mentioned a lot of roles and their duties. But I was thinking that isn't that long?
No. I left her to keep going because she's already answered some of the questions I might have asked you. And I didn't want her to break so that you can listen to it. That's the way you answer those questions, because one of the other, so disclaimer here, when this thing cuts off, everybody can just please log back in using the same link and I'll be here. Now, what I'm trying to say is that at every point in time, anything you are responding to, you need to make the JD your point of reference. And that's why I told you, on the JD is written all over it, it's agile, agile, agile. And not just agile. The moment you're talking about product management, the moment you're talking about RT, release train engineer, then you're talking about SAFe, scaled agile framework at enterprise level. Now, you need, and I said yesterday that you need to be, even though you are not going to come and say, oh, I'm this, I'm that. No. But you want to also paint a picture that, you know what, this project that I'm referring to was actually part of a program. And then we'll come to that, because I want to hear it from you, because I want to believe you are prepared to answer that question. Now, next question. Philip, any thoughts so far at this point?
No, I think we are all on the same page. For me, I think first, tomorrow if you want to do this interview, make sure your camera is not like this.
Yeah.
Okay, okay, Philip.
Concerned, right?
Yeah.
Then secondly, I think you should be for today. You should have just prepared that I'm doing the interview today.
Correct.
Right. And then I feel you have, without even if we mentioning that, I just know that okay, you have all the pieces around you. You're not real, so it becomes something the interviewer will like, oh, okay, let that just finish. Then they just want to follow the procedure. I think your first 10-15 minutes matters, even the first 5 minutes. So you must be on point. I don't want to repeat whatever everyone has said, but be taking note, write it down. Make sure whatever you want to do, master it. Know it, like, be sure. This question will come. It may come in different forms, right? But be sure that you will answer this question. And that's where I'll stop. Thanks, Weha.
Thank you. Okay. Now, if you are going to be working in a project environment, can you please tell me with example how you've led and collaborated with cross-functional teams to elicit, define, and document requirements for complex technology solutions in any of your previous roles?
Thank you very much for that question. Okay, currently, as a business analyst, I have worked with several stakeholders, including internal and external stakeholders, to elicit requirements, gather requirements, and further refine the requirements into user stories and ensure that the acceptance criteria are well written. Currently, I've also worked with solution architects to come up with data models for our projects, as well as the data dictionary for our projects. In the past, as a Scrum Master, I've led several teams of developers, such as the solution architects, the testers, to remove blockers from their projects and ensure that the project is going on smoothly.
So, I'm not going to take that. I'm sorry. You don't lead a team of developers. You collaborate with them. That was the question. I said, how you have collaborated with cross-functional teams. And it's very important. You see, I think one of the challenges is that Black Force, and it has nothing to do with Black Force. I'm not putting Black Force down. And that's why I always have to say this. You need to understand that in your workplace, you're not working with your friends. You're not working with your group member, your group leader, whatever. No, you are working with fellow professionals. You are most likely, you should be collaborating with them. As a BA, you're not leading anybody. If I'm wrong, somebody else can challenge me. Who are you leading? If you are BA team lead, then you are leading a team of BAs. You are not leading developers. You are not leading solution architects. You are collaborating with them. When you work with stakeholders, subject matter experts, you are eliciting requirements from them. You are collaborating with them. You are not leading them. You know why these things are very key? Because if I'm sitting across the table and you're telling me you are leading, I'll just look at you. And I'll just say, what do you mean lead? And I can assure you, you are going to be stuck. Because what do you mean by you're leading a developer? You don't do that, right? Your answers were okay. And then we were now going back and forth between BA and Scrum. No, that's not the question. The question is, how do you do your job? How? Not what. You were telling me what. I said, give me an example. How? It's very specific. The how means you elicit requirements. How do you do it? Are you doing interviews? Are you doing job shadowing? Are you doing, one-on-one, in-person, online, using Zoom, Miro, whatever? The tools you use. This is where you need to showcase your BA skills. How do you do your job? That's what I asked. How? You were answering what? Anybody to corroborate what I'm saying?
Michael, can I just jump in? Sorry.
Yes.
I think I would like to hear more of an example of what you're saying, how. So more like what were the pain points and what the steps that you took to alleviate the pain point.
Exactly.
I'm not a BA, I'm a consultant.
Exactly. You can
That's
hear that.
what I want to hear.
How? It's how.
Yeah.
Biola cannot hear what you said now. You think she will laugh. She will be like, I taught you guys. It's the how. Who wants Efe? Do you want to answer that question?
I just feel if she could have an example, like the internship that occurred in Black Force, if you've done the internship.
No, she hasn't. She's in Quad 6, so she hasn't. But
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that doesn't matter
not even
now.
the internship.
That doesn't matter. She needs to
It's gonna give her a first-hand view of how to go about it.
We don't have that time.
As a team,
She has this interview tomorrow.
Yes.
And she can
but
nail
if you guys did the group in project, right?
Exactly. Right?
Take from that.
Yeah.
Take from
so
the
I
group
think
project.
Take
from somebody else's pain.
Yeah, like talk up. You can even take the opportunity to talk about the project and say what exactly your role was on that project, like how you worked with. I'm sure you people shared roles amongst yourselves when you did that project. Then another thing, I think Nadine mentioned it, is there a reason why you keep going between the BA role and the Scrum Master role? Did they say, I know there was a part where they said you play that role, but try to understand the question and you don't need to be trying to put it in their face that I can also do Scrum, or since you are looking for Scrum. If they didn't ask you anything about it, I don't think that you should be mixing up the answers to the questions that they ask. I think Philip has something to say.
Yeah, please go ahead, Philip.
So Michael, maybe I'll just try to help her here to say, when I say help her, it's going to be a question. The question is, have you done any within Black Force? Can you tell us the project you've done? What was your role? I think maybe we can start with that so I can even realize that, okay, this is what I've done.
Okay, let me tell you about a recent project I just concluded. It's a Salesforce implementation project for a hospital in the United States. And at the beginning of the project, I collaborated with my project manager to have a meeting, an engagement with the stakeholders to understand their pain points. And their pain points, some of their pain points were they had a fragmented system. They also had lack of collaborations amongst the staffs and as well as between them and their patients. They also had lack of record management system, and they also had redundant tasks and repetitive tasks. At the beginning of the project, I worked as the business system analyst for that project. Basically, my duties were conducting requirement gathering and acting as a liaison between the business and its development team. So at the initial stage of the project, which is the planning stage, I conducted a workshop session, which is the discovery session, to understand, to gather the requirements, which I further broken down into user stories, and I wrote the acceptance criteria. I also employ the process mapping tool to kind of show a visual representation of their current processes as well as their future processes. This is to understand what is about to be built. I also use the stakeholder analysis to kind of manage my stakeholders' expectations and ensure that the project align with their requirements. I also wore a double hat on that project. In that project, I worked as a Salesforce consultant. Basically, I created the fields for that project. I also did the declarative programming, which is creating validation rules, creating flow. And during the user acceptance testing stage, I did the UAT planning, part of which I ensured that the requirement was explained to the testers and they were able to write the test cases, and they came to me to validate the test cases that was written. And on the day of the testings, I ensured that every box that were identified, I triaged those bugs to validate that these bugs were actually bugs, and we prioritized for the testers to test the project. Thank you.
Thank you for that response. I will allow Philip to respond first, since he was the one that asked you to do that. Philip.
It was a good storyline, at least for me. It sounds like, okay, you've done a project, but I think some things are just missing in the fact that maybe the flow from the beginning to the end. I don't know what the popular saying of star, maybe I missed that. Did you apply that?
Star for about I don't think you should use star for projects. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I used it for projects.
Okay. But what do you understand by star?
Situations of if you are being asked a question, you say the situation, you say the task that was done as regards to the situation, you state your actions and the results.
Okay, so why do you say we shouldn't use it? I just want to learn.
No, it's not like I don't know. I've never used star approach for projects. I usually use them for like other
So what do you use for project?
So I just state, like the way I said it, I just state what I did in the project.
So you don't have method, you just say based on your own conviction, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Maybe I'm just learning because I've not done much on projects and I'm still learning too. So maybe I'll allow Michael to help me here so that I won't confuse you. But I feel if I was to answer the question, right? Like you started, they want to know the situation because you are going there to work. They want to pay you. I've not really done any Salesforce job. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you say project, maybe you are comparing it to maybe construction project. It may not be project is project. There's a lot of project. There's government projects. Even when you're trying to do something on your own, at your home, you're doing a project, right? But when it comes to someone is paying you to come and do it, especially it's a financial institution, there will be situation. And being the lead, you have a situation.
Yeah.
So why they call you to be maybe a consultant, business analyst, whatever, there's a situation. Then from there, they'll ask you that question and say, okay, after the situation, what are the activities actually? What was your task? What was the result? What about you saying, at the end of the project, right, the client was happy or the project was able to gain so percentage, and this and this. And then they were, in fact, you were given an award or you were promoted. Or let's say, oh, the client now said we should do phase 2 for the Canadian company or subsidiary. That sounds good. That sounds like, okay, it was. You don't need to say, oh, this project went well, or oh, it was okay. But when you say it with a back fact to say, okay, that led maybe to a promotion, your increase in salary, maybe you won another project instantly. So that means it cut the cost of marketing. So I'll stop here, and I didn't have she has something to say to that. Thanks.
Okay, Ifwana, did you write out any of your, how should I say, any of your situations that you might have gone through during your time at Black Force, doing projects, working in a group, so that you can have something to speak to, something to refer to when you're asked these questions? I know it's kind of late in the game and you kind of dropped this on us last minute, but this is something that you would have done in HR when you were doing your HR part of the class. You would need to written down stories, like little stories of your projects that you can refer to in an interview, or little stories, even from people around you, you can use those. And what Philip is saying about with the star, it helps for the interviewer to understand what the project that you went through and understand how your role played a part. So I think you said something where you created flows, you were also doubled as a consultant. Why were you doubled as a consultant? How did that add or take away from the project? What value did that bring? What flow did you, was it a record trigger flow, a screen flow? Like, juice it up. Give me some juice to work with to see your knowledge, what you're capable of. So I don't know, you might have to spend the night and figure out some stories to add to this. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you, Nadine. Absolutely on point, right? Ifeanyiwa, Bab said it time and time again. Stories, you need those stories. That's the only way you can convince somebody that you've done something. Whether it's true or not at this point, I don't care. You need to be able to make it up. Okay, so Becca, yes, please go ahead.
Just to piggyback on what Nadine actually said, I also did hear you saying you did some triaging. So triaging is mostly for the QA team. So you could get people confused as to you're a BSA, then you now said you're a consultant, then you did some triaging as well. That means you must have the expert knowledge in writing test scripts and all this good stuff. So if the interviewers were properly listening, they would know you are actually like just carrying them on a roller coaster ride, sort of. So looking at your job description, I think the general requirements or general duties you're going to be doing was around software development lifecycle. I think the best way is look at this SDLC for Salesforce and wrap your story around that. So if you're saying your story, even if you're going to be stopping in the middle, make sure you start from the starting point whereby you're doing your document gathering up to the end of hypercare. And hypercare as a BA, you're now like whatever the feedback you're getting from the business, you're churning it back into your backlog as user stories and you're writing your user stories as well. So if you could use this SDLC in explaining your answers and following that story through, I believe you're actually going to bring it home with them.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Becca. So Ifeanyiwa, I don't want to assume anything anymore at this point, right? So when we say SDLC, what does that mean to you?
Software development lifecycle.
Walk me through SDLC. Don't spend more than 90 seconds.
Okay, so there are 5 stages in the software development lifecycle. We have the initiation stage, the initiation and planning stage. As this stage, as a business analyst, I'm focused on analyzing the projects, gathering requirements, having engagement with the stakeholders to understand their pain points, and providing solutions to their pain points. Then the next stage is the development stage. Development stage is where actually the development of what is proposed is built. At this stage, basically explain the user stories to the development team to work on. And the next stage is the testing stage. Basically, my duties here is to explain the requirements and also validate what has been built. The next stage is the deployment stage. I seek for necessary sign-off of what is built before deployment and also carry out trainings to end users. The maintenance stage, what is built has been deployed to the environment, and I ensure ongoing support is carried out to ensure adoption of what is built. Thank you.
Efe, how would you respond to that? I'm trying to calm down, that's why.
First of all, I think you missed you didn't get it right. You went from planning to developing. That's not done. And as a BA,
planning and analysis is the first thing.
Oh, so, was that what you said?
Yeah, that's what she said, but that still doesn't make it right, Efe. Don't just mind what I mean. So don't worry, Efe. So that's homework for you. That's supposed to be BA 101. You need to be able to speak to the SDLC and the role of a BA at every stage of the SDLC. And because you are not very sure of what you are saying, don't start using numbers. There are 5 stages. Are you an authority in SDLC? You don't have a PhD. So don't even do that, because that's why you were thinking, okay, the 3rd one, the 4th one. No, don't do that because you are not sure. Just say whatever is in your head. I mean, what you have in mind, right? But that was not a response, in my opinion, right? So please go back and get a decent response, because that should be bread and butter, literally bread and butter from beginning. And that would actually help you to speak to every project. Any project you want to speak to, you should be able to tell it to us in light of the SDLC. And then somebody who is listening to you would know that, oh, okay, you are coming from a project environment. Don't forget, you are saying you are working in Manifest and Company. Most of you just kind of feel like Manifest and Company is a training school. No, Manifest and Company is a Salesforce consulting partner. So you can't be talking like somebody who is working in one backyard barbing salon shop, and you say that you are doing Salesforce projects. You can't do that, because that's the challenge, right? And I get it. So please take that away, and let's work on that. Now, does anyone have a question while I go look for some others? A question to ask her.
I actually have a question. From all the interviews you've done with them, all the past stages, what was their pain points, and have you started drafting out a solution towards it? Because that is what I feel they might focus on if this is going to be the last stage.
Okay, so what I was told in the last interview is for a subsidiary, one of their subsidiary, they are trying to migrate from financial cloud to financial services cloud. So that they needed a business analyst to handle a business system analyst to handle that migration.
Okay. So I guess that's where they need you to be the BA and be the agile person as well. So you need to know whatever they've built in the previous system and help them migrate seamlessly into whatever new system they're using. So I just feel if you have your stories around it as to how you transition the past projects from one, whatever it was, to a new one, it's going to give you an edge in it as well.
Hey, so
yeah, and following that, I think a question that you might want to prepare to answer is, what is your experience with data migration and any past projects that you've worked on?
I was just going to ask that, Effie. What is your experience? Because data migration, let me tell you, it's not easy.
Because it's a very huge part of every project. A very huge part.
And there are
a lot of things that Yeah, there are a lot of things involved for you as a BA. You're going to be responsible for things like the data mapping, which is one of the key things. So you have to map the data in Salesforce with the data of the system
So
that they're
sorry,
migrating.
why don't we ask her the question and let her respond?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much for
No,
that
no, no.
question.
Oh, is there a question already? Maybe I missed it.
Okay.
I don't
thought
know. I'm just asking.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
it's your experience with
Mhm.
data migration in any past project that you have worked on.
Okay, data migration is very crucial for every Salesforce implementation and as well as data integrity. So for data migration, I usually employ these 3 steps, which is the extraction, transformation, and loading. So in the extraction stage, I use an extraction tool, for example, the SQL to extract data from current system. Then once that is extracted, I would work on the transformation stage, which is trying to clean up the data, ensuring that the data have no error, it's in CSV format, and the data are correctly mapped to the correct field in the Salesforce. Then the next thing I would do is to upload the data using the data import wizard or the data loader. Thank you.
So now if you can respond back. Or I think Nadine wants to say something.
Yeah, well, you had points, but you didn't. It's like how Oga Mike has been saying since when we are really like testing and waiting for you to say those, like a lot of things, you just end it, like you just killed the vibe. While you had points, you could have built on those things those points. To me, it felt like you answered with bullet points. You didn't drill down into a particular project that you worked on and you had to do all these things and what exactly that you did. It's like you just defined what data migration is. I don't know if you understand what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
That's what I wanted to ask her.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you agree with what Ife just said?
Yes,
If you
I do.
don't, let us know. Because maybe we are misunderstanding you. She's saying that your response was typically definition. You remember the DES method? Define, explain, scenario. I can't remember so it's DEES. Define, I think explain. I can't remember. Sorry?
Give example.
Give exactly example and
Yeah.
then / scenario. You didn't do that. You stopped at define. That's all you did. You just defined. And then anytime you're mentioning tool, mention the name. There's nothing called SQL tool. There's nothing called SQL tool. SQL is technology. Right? The tool, what are you using? Are you using Workbench? Are you using Salesforce Inspector? Are you using Data Loader? What are you using? And if it's legacy, most of the time it's going to be Excel. If it's legacy. Because if you are doing SQL from a legacy system, that means that system is a bit funky. But that's okay. I'm not saying it's wrong. But SQL is not a tool, just to let you know. It's a technology. It's like you saying HTML2. There's nothing like that now.
Yeah, I said the SQL is used to
No,
extract.
you said you use
No,
an
no.
SQL tool. That's what you said.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah, there's not. That's what?
Baba told us. That's how he said it. That's how I said it.
Okay, me, I can't
But that's
respond to
not
that.
what it is
I can't
in
respond to
real
that.
life.
Okay,
Let
Baba
me
will go and
go.
do your
Let me-
interview for you.
So,
Let me
Ife,
try,
I
Michael.
think you have some premeditated answers to some
Yeah.
questions. I don't want you to be fixed on them because that's the reason for this call. We're trying to we want the best for you, trust me. So when someone says, "Oh, you said this," it's not really like what it's supposed to be. The question you should be asking is, please, what are the examples? It means that you
Yeah, I
don't
was
know
going
it.
to ask like the
But you are
example.
now telling us back that that's what it is. Oh,
No,
that's what
like
Baba said.
the Because I don't even know what the SQL tool is, because like what he said is you can extract from, like if you want to extract
No,
from.
it's ETL. What Babs Kenki must have told you is ETL tools.
Okay.
Is used, yeah. So that's the meaning of the extract, transform. Is they use it for like data warehousing or something like that. I think I've read about ETL
I'm
tools
sure
before.
Philip is
So
just
it's not
laughing at you now, if you are.
it's not SQL, it's ETL tools. He must have told
Okay,
you.
Philip. Hello.
Yeah.
Actually, Efwana, I would prefer that you not give me a definition of
Anyway, okay.
data
So where do we go
migration.
from here, right? Do we need somebody to help answer that question?
One last, but I
Just to
don't
help answer the question on data migration.
I don't think that she should give a
Nadine, you want
definition.
to help us? I think it's in your wheelhouse.
Hello,
So that
can
you
you hear
can
me?
learn from it.
Can you hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. I don't think you should give a
We're not hearing you,
definition.
Nadine. Sorry. Oh,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can hear. Sorry, it was me, not
Okay.
you. It was
Okay,
me.
sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be giving a definition. Yeah, a very quick one, but you need to know that you need to extract your, how are you with, first of all, how are you with SQL?
No knowledge.
And you
So you
are
did attend SQL
for
class
data
in
migration.
Quad 6? So
No,
Baba Tokbe's class, you did attend it?
no.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Nadine. Yeah.
All right. So,
Especially as a senior BA, and you don't know SQL.
yeah, that's going to be tough. But you have to extract your data. You have to keep track of it. First, you don't even know what you're extracting. If it's clean, it's dirty, if there's duplicates.
Is it me or Nadine is
I think,
breaking off?
I was thinking is it me too? So yeah, she's breaking off. Sorry, Nadine, can you try again?
Can you hear me here?
Yeah, that's way better. Thank you.
Can you hear me here?
Yes, we can hear you. Yes.
Good. Okay, sorry. It's my Bluetooth maybe needs charging.
Okay.
Sorry about that. So you don't even know what you're extracting. You don't know if it's clean, dirty, if it's duplicates, if it needs cleaning, if there's empty values. First, once you extract, you have to clean that. Then you have to have an ID. You have to keep a track of an ID. Then you go back and you have to see what fields you have in Salesforce. Then try and upload that, but you don't know what the relationships of each object is. You need to know all of these things before you can even upload. So data migration, you have to understand schema building, relationships, how values work together. It's a lot. And you have to know SQL, inspector, data loader. You're going to encounter a lot of errors. You might have to turn off validations. You might have to turn off flows just to upload, insert, create new objects. So it's a lot involved in data migration, and you have to be sure of what you're doing. You have to actually test it in UAT first, or in a sandbox first, before you then go and try and put that in somebody's production.
Absolutely on point, Nadine. And if I were to pick what you said right now, Nadine, I can tell a story just from what you said, right? Now, so
Yes.
to you, Ifeanyiwa, have you even used data loader before?
Yes, I have.
So why are you not even talking about that when we're asking you a question on data migration? What do you use data loader for?
To upload data into.
Were you not the one that said extract, transform, and load? So what are you using to do your load? You now see why we are saying you were just giving us definitions. We're giving us the what, not the how. You need to work on your how. Your how is very weak. The what is something that, a 1 year, 2 year postgraduate should be saying. Foundation exam. You are not at that place, and I know that you can do this. And just to let you know, Efe, the girl we did interview prep for 2 days ago, she's been asked for reference.
Yeah.
She did the job.
Oh my goodness.
She did. She got the job.
I'm so happy.
This is not even a black force.
What?
That interview prep
Wow.
was a complete disaster. If it's
I'm telling you,
complete disaster.
Why you have to kill this.
So
You
you
have to
understand?
You
kill
have
it.
to
Not
kill
even,
this
Sorry,
and
it's not even
come back.
10% where you
You
are.
have no idea. Not 10% where you are. So
Not 10%.
I am.
Yeah, the
Oh
thing
my
is,
God.
It's
I
so these
know
things
that.
are possible.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I know that on interview calls, like I talk more, like I don't know, like I'm just
It's
kind of
nervousness.
tense.
As long as
I
you are
just
saying the
feel,
right things. It's the
yeah,
right things. It's not how much you talk, really. If you are
yeah,
saying the right things, people will listen. And then you also always have to use the paradigm of do more with less. But when it's something that we are saying, talk to us about data migration, you need to give an example. Always in your head, the default is give an example. That's the default. Let them be the one to say, oh no, stop. You are talking too much.
yeah.
But you must always give an example, because that's what shows that you have done it, right? There's no other way.
Absolutely. I think you are 4-star Rangers, so you have your knowledge, you're technical, but technical is not it. I'm not 4-star, but I know what I'm doing in an org. You see the difference?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we get it, right? She's doing what she can. So
Yeah.
we are not in any way downplaying. And that's why when I
No.
said it with much respect, that
Yes.
I believe you know Salesforce, but you are
Yes, she
not
does.
exemplifying it. Even me, I don't have a Salesforce job, but I
Oh,
have to go for a Salesforce job. You really think, really? Okay, anyway. Now, let's,
this question, when I did TD interview, the final interview, right? They
yeah.
asked this question, like I even said it and said,
What was the question?
this my experience with data migration from.
Oh, they've asked you in the previous one you
So,
did.
so that tells
Not
me,
Oh.
how come you don't have a perfect response, if anyone? That's not good. No, I'm sorry. That's
No,
not good.
when I said all of that, I explained, even I even explained the difference between
But I'm
data.
sure in your head, you would know that that was not a good response.
I
And that's
know.
an opportunity for you to go and find the perfect response. That's why
And
that's how you, yeah? Go ahead.
That's why now you should have been studying SQL, Excel, and the ins and out of data migration, because that's the job.
Okay, so let me go in with another one or two questions. So provide me an example of a complex business process or technology problem that you've encountered and how you approached solving it, including your decision-making process.
Okay, thank you very much for that question. I had just done an implementation for an organization, and they had invested heavily into in implementing the Salesforce Sales Cloud and Service Cloud. But shortly after the implementations, they had challenges with data integrity issues, and they also had issues. Some of their users were reluctant to use the system. So what I did, the steps I took to resolve this was I collaborated with the Salesforce administrator. We had one-on-one interviews with the users to understand the issues, why they are not able to, to understand the challenges and why they're not able to use the Salesforce that was just implemented, and also did a data initiation process. We tried to find out the reasons for the data integrity issues, and we figured out that it was because of lack of validation rule and data a lot of duplicate data as we are in the systems. So I, came up with a plan to resolve these issues. I conducted several targeted trainings to educate users on the benefits of using the Salesforce system. And these trainings were engaging and interactive. And I also worked with the Salesforce administrator to kind of identify the source of these data that were having issues. And we came up with validation rule, as well as downloaded a user adoption app from the App Exchange to kind of monitor user adoptions. I will also encourage users to kind of give feedback if they are having challenges with using the Salesforce And with these steps I was able to take, I was able to ensure that user adoption increased drastically. And with the adoption rate, we followed up on users weekly to ensure that they were able to use the Salesforce system. Thank you.
I don't even know what to say, honestly, at this point, because you started off with data, you ended up with user adoption. I'm like, how did you even get there?
Yeah, it's two issues: user adoption and data integrity issues.
Is it just me? Oga Philip, you've not said something in a while. Or Nadine, yeah.
Maybe you should pause in between the two different stories, just so I know that it was two different.
That's why I got lost.
Yeah, I got lost. I thought it was one whole thing.
Yeah. I heard integrity, which was said 3 times.
Yeah.
And then we ended up in user adoption, right? I was like,
yeah.
okay.
So maybe if you say, and I have a second situation or following, I have, just try to make a break in between it, so that the person on the other end can see that it's two different stories.
Okay. All right.
So for instance, if you want to make, sorry, I just want to chime in
go
there.
ahead.
So for instance, if you're talking about data integrity and that's going to be a stop, you could actually bring in a scenario as to your testers could actually not work in the UAT environment. And so you decided to make a decision whereby you prioritize and ensure that the data that were clean were then tested in SIT. So you could either want to say automations were being built, or what's it called? You actually moved to production. You want to make mention of the sandbox as well. Using things like that could make them know that you truly worked in a project, because I think I heard you say something about data integrity and you came up with a plan, but you didn't drive in on what was the plan. So you could say things like this affected your testers in UAT environment or UAT sandbox. So however, what you did was you did end-to-end testing in the SIT environment, just in preparation for when data was going to be clean in UAT. Then you moved into the UAT. Or whatever it is, just drive through with your explanation so they could know that you actually did whatever you did in the project.
Thank you very much, Becca. So we are wrapping this up. So I'm going to come back to you now, Ifeanyiwa. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think I will be sleeping this night.
Okay.
Yeah, so I will just try to work more on my how.
Yep.
Only focus on my what, right? Try to give more examples as it relates to the project I've worked on. Yeah. So
okay, that's good. Okay, we have about 3 minutes. Any final words? Anyone?
Please, can I give you one advice? It was Mentor Michael that gave me this advice, please. If you're going to do a solution, you could draw a process map. If you know you're not going to remember everything, do like a deck, 2 or 3 deck slide, and show them what their pain point was and the solution you're coming up with. And with that deck, it might be able to help you talk, right? Because then you're like teaching them and training them on what you did on the other project and driving it through to their own solution as to, if I'm employed, this is what I'll be doing in your organization. That could help you speak to it. He gave me that logic in my interview and it actually did work.
Sorry, can you say that again? I'm trying to understand it. Like I should okay.
You know the pain points they've been talking in the past interviews with you, right? Which is migrating a company system to another new system, right? Now, design a solution like a process map and show them end to end as to this is what you're going to be doing for them. So if you know it's going south, you're not really comfortable with the answers you're given, just bring up, look for a time in the interview and just say, oh, with the pain points I've been hearing from the past interviews I've had with you. However, this is the solution I think it's going to work for your organization if I'm being employed. Open up your slides, share it, and start speaking to it. So you're bringing it home as to, this is what I feel is going to work for your organization. I think it's going to work because that was something Michael did give me and it did work for me. And they were actually impressed that I started thinking of solution even before entering into the organization.
Okay, thank you.